If you can get good at setting 10 appointments and you do lousy on 9 of them, all you need to do is get that one, right? 10 appointments a day, you're going to get a sale every day. If you get a sale every day in mortgage protection, that's $1,500 to $2,000 a day. Who wouldn't want to walk home with $10,000 a week? I mean, everybody does.
If you're looking for fluff, keep scrolling. If you want the truth about building freedom in this game, we're on air.
Are you guys in for a treat today? We have the man, the one and the only David Fredrickson in the house. David, how are you, man?
Good, man.
Yeah, but you live not too far away from how long is the drive? Down
45 minutes.
Like 45 minutes, huh? How is life living in? You live in probably one of the most expensive zip codes in the United States, or one of the most expensive neighborhoods. Which part of it is it? Palm Beach that you?
Yeah,
right?
no, I live in a town called the Deerfield Beach. It's the neighborhood I live inside of Deerfield Beach is called the Cove. It's like a boating, like a kind of a boating town, right?
Right. And that's a lot about your passion, right? Before you got into this, you actually had a seafood business, right?
Right.
You had a seafood business. You came into this industry part-time, and you've done a lot of amazing work. Obviously, today you're one of the leading guys in this entire IMO. You've built a name for yourself in the insurance space. And, what I want to focus on today, because you have a very unique story in the sense that sometimes it's hard for people to make that type of adjustment, make that type of transition later on in life. They're just stuck in their own ways. They know one industry, and it's hard for people to say, you know what, let me jump from this industry and go into this industry, break into it. And then I just don't want to be part of it, but I want to be at the top of it. So if you could shed some light about what is it that you did before you found insurance? What is it that drove you into getting involved in this industry in the very first place?
So what did I do before insurance?
Right.
I'd have to take you back to 1998.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go to 1998.
I'm a senior in high school. I'm graduating high school, and I wasn't a fan of school. Academics weren't my favorite. Okay. And what I did during school is I went to a trade school part of the day to just get out of school, right? And I was really into auto mechanics, so I went to trade school part of the day. So then I only had to go to school for like 3 classes. So in the morning I went to trade school, worked on cars at the trade school, and then the last half of the day I went to school and went home and went to work. And I worked at a Firestone doing tires and fixing cars, right?
Okay.
And
handyman.
I had no intentions to go into college. I was initially going to go in the military with some of my friends.
Okay.
And the recruiter told me I was going to make like $12,000 that first year, and I was making like $30,000 a year part-time at the auto shop, right? So I was like,
way to sell you the dream, huh?
Yeah, there's no way that I'm going to do that, right? Good thing I didn't, because one of my friends went to Afghanistan right after the Twin Towers went down. So, what I did as soon as school stopped, I went and worked in the Firestone garage full time. And the automotive industry was a commission only industry as well. You don't get paid a salary for the position I was doing. It's called flat rate. So if you did a brake job, let's just call it a brake job, in 10 minutes or 3 hours, you got paid like an hour and a half to do that brake job. Didn't matter how long it took you. So the faster and more efficient you were, the more money you made. So that really appealed to me. So I was always in a commission world. I would say fast forward, I leave there, I go into the dealership world. I'm working on only Lexuses, and I'm seeing all this wealth coming in the door all the time, right? Working on these fancy cars.
Is this here in Florida?
Yeah. It was at the world's largest Lexus dealer, JM Lexus, which is up the street from here.
Okay.
And that's owned by Jim Moran. He's known as Jim Moran, the courtesy man. He's a billionaire.
No kidding.
At the time of his death, he was worth like $6.5 billion. He owned the Toyota port in the Southeast Division, which is Jacksonville. And I go to work for this guy, and I just see all this wealth coming in all the time. And, always thinking to myself, man, I need to own my own business. I remember when I worked at a pizza shop when I was a kid, I was like, I could run a pizza shop, like always thinking that, right? So, I quit working at the Lexus dealer and I opened my own automotive shop.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I opened my own automotive shop. It had 5 bays, an office. I had a couple of technicians working for me. And, that lasted for a little while. We had a big hurricane in Florida around 2005. It's called Hurricane Wilma.
Okay.
Shut down everything in that area for like a month. And that's all it took to kind of break me. We were, we were living off of, I would spend money for ads to drive people in. I would make enough money to pay rent and pay for our mortgage. And,
Wait, so how old were you back then?
I was 25.
You were 25?
Yeah, I was 25. I invested $180,000 into opening up a business. So
how does somebody even have 100 somewhat? You're talking
180,000. So
180,000.
by the time I was 25, I already bought and sold a couple homes. I had flipped a couple homes. I had money from working on cars, all saved up.
Yeah.
When my friends were getting out of college and they're 20, 21 years old, I already had a house, these things. I had a house, I had a truck, I had a Mustang convertible, I had jet skis, I had all the toys. So I was just working while everyone was going to school.
I can imagine you being a real estate guy, but I can't imagine just knowing you from insurance. I'm trying to picture Dave right now with all the cars and the mechanics. That's something I knew a little bit about that, but I did not know to that extent.
Yeah.
So, this is, not to go off track, but I know you have a beautiful family today. What is your thoughts on college? Is college something that's discussed in the household?
All the time.
All the time, right?
All the time. So I've got
what's the conversation there?
I've got an 18-year-old that's a senior this year.
Right.
He's graduating this year. He goes to a very nice private school here in Fort Lauderdale called Cardinal Gibbons.
Okay.
I've also got a sophomore. He's going to be 16 in November. I've got a middle schooler and then an elementary. So my oldest son, 18.
All phases, by the way, at the same time, huh?
Right. My oldest son, that's 18. He has schools begging for him to go to school. He's a pretty much a straight A student. I wouldn't say school comes easy to him, but he applies himself, and he has zero interest in going to college. I don't influence that, but I think I do influence it because I work from home. He hears me on the phone. He sees the money that comes in. And, when I said to him, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? A couple of years ago, he said, I'm just going to, after school, I'm just going to go and get my license and go life insurance full time with you.
Really? Really?
Yeah. So a couple of our friends are great people that live down the street. One of his best friends, they're both doctors. The husband and wife are both doctors. They pressure him all the time, like, you need to go to college.
Right.
He went on vacation with them up to Maine this summer, and the mother was on him the whole time. Are you going to go to college? What are you going to do? He's like, no, I'm not going to college. So my mom, really academic. She's always on him. You need to go to college. Everyone's always like, you need to go to college. But he makes his own mind up. I don't put anything into his head. But, he does see what's going on behind the scenes.
It's very interesting, man. I wonder what it would have been for me if I had somebody like you to shadow. And I truly mean that, because I have the honor of knowing your family, and we've gotten closer over the years. But we don't just know each other for 3 or 4 months. We know each other for what? Is it 3 or 4 years now?
About 4 years, yeah.
About 4 years, right? So, you go back to the classic Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? And when I was first handed that book, it was such an eye-opener for me, because I realized that the language that we spoke in the household was a poor man's language. And my dad would tell me, like, son, start your own business. This is what I accredit this to my dad, because my dad was a corporate guy. He worked at the oil company of Saudi Arabia. That's where he spent most of his years. Mm-hmm. That's where he retired from. So my entire life, I've only seen my dad work a 9-to-5 corporate job. And he always told me, son, if I had put the effort and the time that I'm doing right now for this company, if I would put that in something of our own and create a legacy of ourselves, then that would have paid me multiple times, right? And so I took that to heart, but I've never had the privilege of seeing somebody actually do it. So it's interesting because in the virtual environment, your kids get, sometimes I see on the Zoom call and your daughter's there and she comes in and she says, "Hey daddy." So they see you actually, perform, and that rubs off. That
Right.
rubs off on the kids.
Right. And it's fun. They think it's fun because they see me having fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
They see me chatting with you guys on the Zoom. When I'm making cold calls, they hear me poking fun at people sometimes, right? So they think he's just getting on the phone having fun. So yeah, it's cool. And like you said, with your upbringing, you wish you had someone to shadow like me. Man, I wish I had someone to shadow like me because I would be further along. I would have gotten to life insurance in the very beginning. So my mother and father were blue collar. Well, my mother and father were both in the Navy, and then my mother went to college and became an accountant.
Okay.
But they were strictly people that just went to a job and they thought that is exactly the way you're going to be successful. Like our family had a scarcity mindset, very, and it was like, hey, show up to your job, don't ever be late, be completely loyal to your employers, do everything that they say, and maybe you're going to have enough money to, retire, without working until you're, 100 years old.
So
Like, that was the
how did
mindset
you
in the
become an
house.
entrepreneur then? Where did that urge come from? Where did that inclination come from if that's the environment that you grew up in at a very young age?
Yeah, because we always grew up with being told we couldn't afford that, and I just didn't want that. I just didn't want it. So I didn't like going and working on Wall Street didn't seem like something that I could obtain. Like that's what I wanted though, but it didn't seem like something I could obtain. I'm coming from this middle class family that was blue collar. They, if pensions were still around, they would have told me, go to that job that has a great pension, right? That's what they would have told me to do. So I didn't have anyone to look up to that was a business owner. Never even met a business owner before, I don't think. Everyone had a job, but I just wanted more. That's why I really went into a field where there was, the harder you work, the more you could make. So you could make as much money as you wanted in auto mechanics that I thought, like when I got into it, 100 grand was a lot of money. My parents weren't making 100 grand. I made that like second year out of school. I was making that as an auto mechanic.
Wow.
They were like, what? Man, this guy, so I already I did manifesting before I knew what manifesting was. I remember when I first read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I remember exactly how old I was. I remember who gave me the book. I remember everything about that. That book was pivotal. I mean, it was mind-changing for me. As a matter of fact, it was the first book that I ever read cover to cover. Ever. That was the first one that I ever read cover to cover. And I when I read it, I thought that Robert Kiyosaki was writing it to me. I was like, man, this is me. I feel like this.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so I didn't have anybody like that. I wanted more out of life.
So I want to go back to something that you said that caught my attention. You said, had I known about this, I would have done this much sooner. There's a lot of people that might look at you, Dave, and they're like, I can't be as good as Dave. I mean, he's so polished. He has that background. He knows how to sell. He's been in Wall Street. He's done commodities, right? So what is it? Why does somebody like you, as sharp as you, look so highly upon the insurance industry? What is it that that the audience that doesn't know this industry, what should they know about this that would get somebody like you of your caliber to go full time into this?
Yeah. So everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. Okay. We
Never thought about that, but yeah,
we
you're
all
right.
put our pants on one leg at a time. We're not too much different. When I was working on cars, I remember I'm sitting in a car. The interior's completely ripped out of it because it had a water leak. So I have to take all the interior out. My hands are cut up because some of the metal in the car, and I'm sweating because it's 95 degrees outside, and I'm inside of this tin box sweating. And I'm texting my brother-in-law at the time, and I go, "There's got to be a better way," you know? And he goes, "Hey, come work for me." And I knew he did something I didn't really know. I said, "Don't I have to go to college to do that?" And he said, "No, you just got to take a really hard test, and if you pass it, you can work. You have to get licensed to sell stocks and commodities." So I at the time I had 3 little kids. One was just born. I had a child that was just born. So I'm married with 3 kids, and my wife doesn't work. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go study for this test. And the reason I never really did anything with school or higher learning is because I had a really tough time in school. I had severe dyslexia. I didn't even learn how to read until I was like in the 4th grade. And I didn't really care for reading. I didn't want to do anything with that. I just wanted to, I just wanted to hustle and grind.
Make money.
Yeah. And I went and studied for these really hard tests, and I failed them. So then I could take it in a month later. So then I studied again. And I was working a full-time job. And then after hanging out with the family would go to bed 9, 10 o'clock. And I would study till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and then go to bed. And then I went and took these tests the second time and passed them. And I became a commodities broker. I went and worked in a commodities office. And, what I would say is the reason I'm polished is because I spent 10,000 hours learning my craft. The office that I went to, they were very, very big on training. So, I had to learn a script. It's not that difficult to learn a script, to talk to someone on the phone. We had a system to stick to. As long as you stuck to the system, you would be successful. Your clients would be successful. So that's all I did. I just went through a system. This job, becoming really polished, was difficult in the beginning, but overall, when you're in auto mechanics, it's this is an ever-changing evolution business. So you're always retraining and learning new things because automotive industry is combustion. Now everyone's going hybrid. Now everybody's going electric. Now they're going hydrogen. So you have to learn all these different things. Electronics, everything, all this stuff is changing, ever evolving. So you're always learning in that field. Where in the business of life insurance, this is an industry that's been the same for 300-400 years. It's time tested.
Right.
So you need to learn psychology of people, but more importantly, the easy part is you need to learn the scripts. You're an underpaid actor. Learn how to use those scripts. Learn the art of sales, learn the art of persuasion, learn how tonality works, learn how to use your voice correctly. And once you do that, you plug them into the financial system that these insurance companies have. And these time-tested strategies, the insurance company handles it for you. You can't make a mistake.
Right.
So I wish I would have got into it earlier, not just for the money, but for the ability to have gotten better earlier and then to really impact other people's lives, whether it was young people coming into the business or my clients.
Right. And I want to expand more on that. Let's zoom in on, because I know your story. And when you say, when he says he had to learn and it wasn't easy, that's an understatement, because one of the things that I know, I don't even believe, I know that make you extremely unique is that you have a relentless drive and you just never give up. You just don't give up. When you're confronted with a challenge, you're just face it head on. And it seems like you got that early on. So let me take a step back. How old were you when you got licensed in commodities?
I was 31.
You were 31 at the time. So how long, if you could share with the audience the story that you've shared with me, how long did it take for you? Now, you just got licensed. You don't have any experience in this industry. You never sold commodities before, right?
Right.
So you're just, you're just diving into a whole new industry. How long did it take for you to make a sale?
Yeah. So you can see the whole room just like I can. So we both know who's in this room, right?
Right.
Who's in this room?
Your wife.
Yeah, my wife is sitting right over there.
Right.
So if you hear some real pain, or whimpering, it's from her, right?
Right.
So I'm 31 years old. I was at the pinnacle of my career for 10 years in the automotive industry inside these dealerships. Always the highest paid technician inside these dealerships. So I'm number one. People know me throughout the nation as far as fix it right the first time, stuff like these awards that go on through these dealerships. So people know me, and I'm getting ready to change careers. And I don't really burn the ships right away. I tell my manager, like, hey, look, I'm burnt out. I'm just taking a couple months leave. I'll be back. I go into the commodity office the first day, and I'm pitching, and I'm feeling sick to my stomach because I'm so scared and I'm so nervous. I'm making the dials. Like, don't think I'm not making the dials. I'm making the dials, but when I'm talking to these people, all the emotions are going through me that I actually get sick to my stomach. And I'm like, what is this? And my brother-in-law's, I don't know, sit down on the couch, have a coffee, like they all know what's going on, right? But they tell me, like, I don't know. I'm like, but it was my nerves. It was my nerves. Like, I had never bossed anybody around on the phone, interrupting them, telling them to, pay attention to what I'm saying. Like, so my nerves were shot like that first day. Second day was a little bit better. Third day was a little bit better. So I'm a week in. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm doing my script, my pitch on the phone every day. But the other guys in the office, these guys, they're all younger than me. I'm 31. They're all younger than me, but I'm looking up to them.
Oh, really?
Because they just sound great.
Oh, I didn't know that you were.
They sound like superstars. You were talking about these young guys. They're 24, 25, maybe 26, all around me. They just sound great. You're here, ding, ding, ding. You're hitting the bell. They're making all this money. They go up and ring the bell whenever they make a sale. And I'm like, man, these guys sound great. But every now and then I hear, like, I'm in a cubicle, so I can't see them. They can't see me. But every now and then I hear little giggles and stuff. And then I find out they're all making fun of me behind my back.
What are they saying?
They go, oh, what they were saying is like, oh, Dave's over there having sexy time with his clients. Like, because I'm not talking with like a lot of conviction in my voice. It sounds like real, like I'm whispering. Or
right.
There's just like no conviction in it, right? Like they know I'm not getting anywhere, but they don't care.
Yeah.
Like, let them freaking drown, right?
Yeah.
And around the bullpen is where all the stockbrokers and commodities brokers worked. It's called the pit. And around it, there was offices, and this is where the owners and managers' offices were. So they don't, their doors are closed, dealing with other things. They don't hear me, right? And, it took me over 90 days to make my first sale.
90 days.
90 days. I was a hard worker. So I was dialing 500 dials a day. And this is before you had a CRM that you just punch. I was dialing like this. And I had a stack of cards. They were called D&B cards, Dun & Bradstreet cards. I just knew that the people on the other line made at least $250,000 a year or had more than $1 million in liquid cash. So they were all what we call accredited investors.
Oh, okay. Okay. Makes sense.
So I was calling these people, but remember, I'm calling them during market hours, between the hours of 9 and 5, right? Actually, I would call later too on some days, but 9 to 5 is when you're calling. So most of these phone numbers are to their office. So you have to get through a gatekeeper first, right?
And they're cold calls. They're
cold calls. They don't know me. And like, I'll be calling for John, and the gatekeeper be like, who are you? Why are you calling? Like, I'm Dave from Paramount Commodities. Click. So I had to learn how to get past that.
Who the hell is Dave?
Yeah, I had to learn how to get past that. Right. So then when the next gatekeeper, so once I got better, they taught me all those secrets. The gatekeeper answers, I said, yeah, is John there? Yeah, he is. Who's this? Tell him it's Dave. And Dave from where? Just tell him it's Dave, thanks. That meant like, get John, run along, go get him. Like I could be Dave, his old college buddy. They didn't know. So they didn't want to be rude at that point. They knew to go get John.
Right.
So then I learned how to get through that. And then I learned all the rebuttals. And then, day 90, 91, 92, 93 comes by. Like my wife, we ran out of money. I hadn't made a dime. Like I'm not getting this.
So
Is
how do you continue? Like how do you continue 90 days? How many dollars have you made? How many
I've
no's
made,
did you get?
So on average, I made $500 a day. I made we did the numbers. I made about 21,000 dials before my first deal. Over 90 days in that office without collecting a paycheck. Hey, guess what? I had 3 little kids at home, a wife that never worked. She's never worked a day in her life. We're out of money now. Like literally, we were going through the couch at the very end, finding quarters and change to buy groceries. That's how bad it was. The accounts were empty. Empty. We were putting money on the credit cards. Everything was empty. We had no money to pay credit cards. And bam, it hit. It hit. And it was like, deal, 3 deals a day, hat trick, boom, boom. It all just started, it all just started compounding. Everything that I had learned over those 90 days, it all compounded. And I became that number one guy in the office.
So what changed? What changed? Like at that moment, do you think it was the reps, the frequency?
I got that first deal. Once that first deal happened, I had conviction. I never even saw the money yet. I had conviction that this works, that you can do this.
And you projected that.
I projected it. I used to read this purple book that my mentor in that business gave me, which was my brother-in-law. It was called The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. And it takes like 9 months to read. But I would just religiously read it in the morning before I got there, afternoon, and then again at night. And it just, keep me focused on going, not to quit. Like, what's the point of quitting? Like, I'm already wiped out at this point. Like, am I going to let this place take my soul too? Or am I going to work through it? Even my wife is like, what are you going to go back and turn wrenches and work on cars?
So how do you resist that, Dave? Because there's a lot of people in the audience today that are like, hey, Dave, I've been in insurance. I've bought some leads. I haven't turned a profit. I haven't succeeded. I'm not seeing any signs of success, but you're telling me to continue?
Yeah. So I would personally have felt like a failure, having regret, wondering if I could ever have done that. Right. You look back on maybe let's just say, like, you look back on your early life of doing something in school, and you said, man, I should have did that. I should have took that chance or did something like that. If you don't take that chance, you'll have that regret, and some people have that with their, the woman of their dreams or the man of their dreams, and they don't have the balls to go up to her or him if they really, really like them and make that move because of why? They're worried of feeling silly? Are you worried of feeling dumb? Are you worried about going bankrupt? Like, what's worse, your bankrupt account or your bankrupt soul?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You only live once. You get one chance at this. So do whatever it is you want to do, as hard and as good as you want. Have as many kids as you want. Raise the family of your dreams. You have to do the things of your dreams.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm listening to you, I'm noticing a trend, man. Every high performer has this. You have a personal standard that you have to live up to. Like what you just said is translation. I cannot live with myself knowing that I'm a failure. I would rather do this over and over and over and over and over than knowing that I personally have given up on something. Like you just cannot live with you. You can't live with yourself knowing that in your conscious, and that's where your drive comes from. But by the way, does it pay off? Look at you now.
Yeah.
Right? So, and not only that, you're in a privileged position today because, well, a lot of people are privileged and they have the privilege of getting mentored by somebody like you.
Yeah.
Because the fact that you actually, if you could speak to that, the fact that you actually went through that pain and you know what the struggle is, that gives you the moral authority that very few people have. You have the moral authority to tell people, look, I know how you feel, right? These are your lines. I know how you feel because I've been there, right? And here's what and when people hear your story, they're like, all right, well, I guess I know what to do. Yeah. I can't complain to him. How can I complain to Dave? I mean, take a look at what I haven't gone through what you've gone through, which makes you very unique in terms of having a person that people could look up to, and that's the reason why your team today is obviously on a huge growth phase. So take us continuing on that story. This reminds me of the reason why I brought up the question about college. My brother just went to Penn State, and I was having a conversation with my father. I told him, "Hey, Dad, I think you should keep him back, right? I think you don't rush on this college thing too fast. He got the acceptance. He can go in January. Let me teach him how to make money. Let me teach him sales. Let me kind of teach him the things that the soft skills that are actually going to move him ahead in life." The reason why I say that, Dave, is because sometimes subconscious programming, based on what we learn, is it's programmed in the first 6 years of your life, right? And so having your kids take a look at you, and I truly mean this, I'm super excited to see what they're going to amount. I am very excited to see where they're going to go just by them seeing your example. Because I know this, for me to have my breakthrough, and this is basically what you said as well, you didn't have anything that programmed you for success. You had to kind of create that. Now, when people are programmed for success, their results in life, they're just, they skyrocket. Why? Because that first 6 years of your life, you saw, oh wait, I see my dad there. My dad works until 8, 9 o'clock. He doesn't stop until he gets the job done. I heard him, he's on 100% commission. He has to work for us to stay fed. We live this privileged life today. We have a great life. We live in one of the best areas in the neighborhood, in the state. Mommy doesn't have to work. Mommy is there for us, right? She doesn't have to not be there because she has to go make a living. If you could talk to us about that, man, how does that? I think a lot of men would love to have that, right? A lot of men that have a family that have not polished their skill set, they don't have that. So if you could speak to those people that would like to create that type of environment in their household.
That's a lot to unpack.
Right.
And I'm very passionate about this subject. So starting with the children, you said why are my children are deciding not to go to college? I think that was one of the things you said. Well, you said something very that I believe in. So I think it was Marcus Aurelius said that if you give me a child at 7 years old, I'll give you a man.
That's right.
I think that's Marcus Aurelius.
Right.
And it's so true. If you are very disciplined with your child in their very early ages, they're just going to be well-rounded children. So we were very disciplined with our children. And one thing that we did is we made our kids do everything on their own. It's just what we did. And with money especially, we were very, very cognizant of how money was spent with them. We got them debit cards at like 8 years old. Amazon accounts at like 8 years old. Like, you want to buy something, you can buy it. You will set up your debit card to your Amazon account. You can buy it on there. So they knew how to manage an account. So they know the value of a dollar. Very young age. We're talking 8 years old. They understand the value of a dollar. So, a lot of them are looking at college as not a good value proposition. That's just the point there. They see that
because you installed that framework in them.
In the very beginning. They can make the decision if they want to go to college or not, but they look at it as a value proposition. It's a party. And mom and dad aren't going to pay for a party. They maybe will help us get some Fannie Mae or whatever. Who is that? Sally Mae that does the credit. We'll help them with credit.
Yeah.
But they're going to be essentially racking up that debt. Okay. If they want to do that, that's fine. They'll do that. We'll co-sign. We'll help out where we can.
So they know it comes with a liability.
They know it comes with a liability, right? There's no free lunch. And our kids have been raised that way. There's no free lunch. My 16-year-old, my 18-year-old, when he turned 16, he got a truck. But the truck is paid for, the insurance is paid for. Everything else he's on his own. He has to pay for the gas. He wants to go around. He's got to pay to kind of maintain the truck, right? So he's not going to go waste a bunch of money. As far as the next part was more family. Like, we as a family, my wife and I decided to make a decision to make sacrifices so that she could stay home. It's very important, I believe, for a relationship to work. Each person in that relationship has to have a role, and their roles have to be defined. So a lot of times when they both work there and you have children, you kind of have to come up with who's going to be the one that really is the one that takes care of the children the most. Who's going to have that role?
Who's going to nurture?
Yeah, who's going to be the nurturer? Who's the one that's really going to drive the income the most? Like,
Right.
if the kids are sick, like, which one of us can call in,
Right.
and which one has to stay? Like, that's the choice that two working parents have to make. I didn't want my wife to have to make that. The rule was, you're home. You take care of this family. That means everything there is to do with taking care of the home. Like, you do all the housework, the laundry, make meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner. You take care of the kids. Like, you're going to be the perfect housewife. And I'm going to make sure that you don't ever have to work to do that. I'm going to keep up my portion of the bargain here so that we can have a powerful, strong home. Okay. And you know what? That woman does that day in and day out. Every day, there's laundry going every day. There's meals being made every day. 6 o'clock in the morning, she's making breakfasts. It would cost us $250,000 to have someone doing that in our house. But we make that sacrifice because that she's living her purpose. And I go and I hustle and I work, and she doesn't have to worry about that.
And to me, that's a true partnership. And I know to what extent you love your wife and to what extent that relationship means to you, Dave, just because every time we speak about success, the first thing that comes up, my wife. Every single time. Like, that's been a recurring theme ever since. And a lot of you don't even know this. Before I got engaged back in October, we used to have these conversations, the importance of choosing the right partner, right? And to what extent that's going to affect your life. Because what you just described to me is so beautiful, because you're like, hey, I need to make sure that my kids have a mommy. I don't want my mom to be stressed out about money. Let me go handle that. That's what I do best, right? Because I need them to have that. I don't want to rob them away from that. And by the way, just to let you know, I remember all the hardships that I, as a child, growing through. I don't know if you call it trauma or not. I don't like to use these words, to be frank with you. But all the hard times that I had with my mom, I could pretty much know that it was, now looking back at it, it was due to financial stress, right? It was due somewhere tied up. It was because of a lack of success in some area, right? And so that goes a very long way. So if you could touch on that real brief, we had some private conversations. To what extent do you feel like the right partner, choosing the right partner, be it a husband, be it a wife, to what extent do you think that plays a success?
So for me, the game, it's not even close to being over. We're just in the beginning, right? Our kids are coming out of school, and as of right now, I think it's very, very important. She's been very supportive of me. So when I take that leap and start a business, like, she understands that we're not like starting a business. We're building a legacy.
Right.
So yes, there's going to be tough months where there's more money going out than coming in. That's just business. That's how it's run. Now, a lot of people in insurance don't run their business as a business. They think it's a job and then go out and try to get money. They blame everybody else, but it's a business. So there is months where it's going to be really tough. And we do have those months where we are both stressing out. When she's feeling weak, I have to be powerful. When I'm feeling weak, she'll come in and be powerful. So it's extremely important to make sure that partner that you're bringing into your life, your business, is somebody that's going to support you in the ups and the downs, right? That person that's going to take on the role. Like, she's kind of the one that said it, like, hey, here's the deal. I don't ever work. You make the money, and I'll make sure that everything's good at home. Like, the deal was the deal.
You're like, deal
like,
signed right there.
That
Yeah,
was
I'll
it.
take
It was a contract.
Right.
You know, it was an upfront contract.
Right.
We obviously were in love,
Yeah.
but we talked about our plans and our dreams. I remember when we were dating, we used to walk through the neighborhood that I live in now and go, "We're gonna live here.
No way.
We're gonna live here one day.
Really?
We're gonna live here one day." Yeah, we used to. And you know, we live in that neighborhood now.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your success in the insurance space, man. You got into this industry about 4 years ago, maybe less than 4 years ago. And when we first came in, the first company that we were affiliated with, you know, that did not pan out the way that we had wanted it to be. But today, you know, we've gone through our journey because we got into it, and we made some sales, right? And then we realized, wait, hold on a second, there's a better way of doing things. So you and I both, we came to our mentor, Vivian, the founder of AIR. Now we're our own IMO. A few years ago, you and I were just two people walking into her office, right? We had a conference here in Miami, and you came down and we attended the conference. And then the next thing you know, we found ourselves in her office. And I remember vividly when we left her office, we were looking for a new place to park our agency because we knew that there was something better. And we had some problems. And I want you to speak about those problems, the chargebacks, the final expense market for those people who are in the insurance space. And we faced those problems, right? And then we looked at an example of success, and we said, "Hey, that looks a lot more superior." We come to this office, we leave the office, and you look at me, and you're like, "Think of nowhere else. This is it. Did you see the system?" And you and I couldn't unsee what we saw. So if you could talk about that experience for the people that are in the insurance space that do not know what we have over here.
So you want me to just talk about the experience that we felt after leaving, or you want me to back it all the way back up to when we first met?
Well,
Because
right. It's layered there. I want to talk about the challenges that we faced there, right?
Let me unpack that first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so that starts, I would think, December 2022.
Right.
We watch a video.
Yes.
You watch the same video I'm watching.
Yeah.
The guy says, "Hey, if you're not making $300,000 a year, you're not living," right? Okay, what is this guy talking about? You listen, you watch the podcast, you find out it's about life insurance. And I think it was like February or March, where I was living, the lady was going to increase my rent where I was living. And it was going to be double. She was basically going to double me because where I live, the COVID hit real hard and property values literally doubled. So people were getting double rent. Everybody from New York was moving down. So I was like, man, I need to make some extra money. I've got these 4 kids in private school. You know, I've got all these bills. I got to make some more money. And I had a really good sales gig going on in seafood. So I secretly studied for this test and got licensed and then got contracted with you. And then I told my wife, like, hey, I'm just going to be selling some life insurance at night on the side over the phone. I'm going to use my techniques that I've, my phone selling techniques from the commodity broker days. It'll be easy. I didn't know what was going on. It'll be easy. So April 2022, I meet you, we get contracted. We go through that whole deal. And from April of 2022 till December 31st of 2022, I ran insurance from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon till about 8 or 9 o'clock at night from my office. You remember, I used to be on Zoom from my old office. You just see me. And I would get on Zoom and I would have all these rebuttals and this fancy pitch that no one ever heard before because I came from like over the phone commodity brokers. I sounded like real slick to these guys. And
Real slick.
it was like stealing candy from a baby compared to commodities. Life insurance was. I was selling a product that these people like couldn't lose on. It was solid, something that had been around forever.
And we had leads. It wasn't a cold call. We had
We had
leads.
leads. It wasn't leads. So you know, that first, what is that? Let's just say May. I was contracted and made my first sale in May. May, June, July, August, September, December. 6 months.
Right.
I part-time I made like $86,000.
Right. Yeah.
So
Part-time for those people that missed it.
yeah, really part-time, right? And then you know, we just said, wow, this is great. Then the next year, 2023, again, part-time, and I did like $256,000. So that year, part-time, is when we met Vivian.
Right.
And I think it was September 23 is when we met her.
Yeah.
Or maybe August. It might have been right around this time.
Around this time was the
Yeah.
summertime, right?
Yeah. So we meet her. The reason we're meeting her is because we know there's got to be a better system. We're talking to other people about other systems because we're selling final expense. And one of the things that we're noticing is a lot of that stuff is falling off the books. It's just, we're making sales, we're buying leads, we're making sales, but man, like we're only keeping like 60% of what we're selling. The other 40 to 30% is falling off. And it's nothing against the people that we're selling to. It's just they're sick and they're poor. Unfortunately, these were great families that just didn't set things up for life. So we meet with a couple other teams, and then we finally meet with Vivian. You and I go into Vivian's office, we talk. We're so glad to just have 30 minutes of time. It turns into like a 4-hour conversation, Vivian, Adriano. And we saw two salespeople that were running a business. They had staff in there. They had a vertically integrated system, meaning they had leads that they were generating. They didn't necessarily, their agents weren't necessarily dialing their own leads. They had staff that dialed the leads and set appointments. Their agents focused on what was important, which was going on appointments and closing. So these agents were going into the office with 10, 15 appointments for the day. I mean, literally every 30 minutes an appointment. And if they were on a sale, that next appointment, their appointment setter would call and say, hey, David can't make that appointment. Can we schedule it for you tomorrow? The other appointment is going long. Great. So we just saw real business. We didn't just see a bunch of guys that were kind of hustling leads. We saw real business, and we couldn't unsee it.
We could not unsee
We couldn't unsee it. We saw somebody that had staff, that had organization, that knew her numbers and her persistency to the T.
Right.
We were coming out of 60, 70% persistency to a woman that was showing us that her team was literally running 85% plus persistency. Top guys were running 90%.
And then talk about the production numbers. What were our production numbers?
She had 53 agents, writing agents at the time.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, the lowest writing agent was like $20,000 a month. And the top 15 were all above $50,000 for the month. So it was unbelievable. I think she was running 1.4 million, 1.5 million off of 53 riders.
Right. So this is exactly what happened, right? We walk into the office and we have an agency that's a decent size. We have the exact same number of riders, as a matter of fact, the exact same number of riders, but Vivian was doing triple our numbers and we couldn't figure out how. Like, how do you triple? We're on the phone all day long. All day long we're on the phone, and we have, we know how to sell. How could somebody come in who I could tell is not as polished as I am? Right? I mean, you're good, but you're not as good as me. We all have that type of ego, right? But you're outperforming me, not just by a little bit, but by a lot of bit. How? We come to the office, and like you said, there were departments. What the hell? There's a lead department, and then you had another company that were dialers. You guys don't even dial. So all you would just wake up and you have a full day set of appointments. So all you're doing is money making activity, and you're just doing what makes you money, which is helping other clients with their insurance. And then you hear about mortgage protection. Oh wait. So you're not selling to people on fixed income. These people have been vetted. They just bought a house. They just bought their biggest asset. And now you come in, they've requested, they called in, they want to learn this information. It was a game changer for us. It was a game changer for us. And when we walked to that office, you looked at me and you said, we need to do whatever it takes in order for us to bring our guys over here. Because the fundamental thing, and if you could speak to this as well, the fundamental thing when you're building an insurance agency is you have to make sure that the building block of the agency, which is the agent itself, has to be profitable, right? If you're building a business and you're telling people, come, get licensed, you can make a six-figure income over here and change your life, and you don't deliver on that promise, then it's only a matter of time before that agent goes and says, well, I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go try this. I'll try this. I'll try this. I'll try this. Our promise is to show people how to make a handsome living helping other people. Nobody did that better than Vivian, because we saw people that made a six-figure income just on their personal pen, right? And it was because of the system that they've invested millions and millions of dollars.
Seven-figure income on their personal pen.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. And today that system is called what?
Mortgage, air, yeah.
Air, right?
Yeah.
So we've managed to create a blueprint that they followed, and today people could just come in and plug into that. So Dave, if somebody wanted to, someone who listens to this podcast and says, Dave, I need some direction. I need some mentorship. Matter of fact, this happened not too long ago, right? Just last week. Just last week, you had somebody who came in and he said, Dave, we look up to you. We see how polished you are. We see that you're doing this every single day, and we need some direction. We're sharp. We got the work ethic. Matter of fact, we could outwork you, right? If you could just guide us the way, right? Right. So, and you're not only are you helping individuals, but you're in a position today where you are attracting teams. Teams are calling you, right? Not just, hey, Dave, how do I get licensed, or I'm already licensed, but teams, hey, we're an agency. We just need someone who's going to guide us.
Absolutely.
If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what would be the best way for them to get hold of you?
Yeah, I think social media is probably the best business card these days. It's out there. You can follow me on Instagram. You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. My Instagram handle is David B. Fredrickson. Fredrickson spelled three names in one. Fred, F-R-E-D. Eric, E-R-I-C-K. Son, S-O-N. So it's David B. Fredrickson on Instagram. You'll see this big bald head. You'll know it's me. My name is my name on LinkedIn. Those are probably the two best ways to get in touch with me. Yeah.
Beautiful. And before we wrap, I want to give a little bit of a sense of what it's going to mean like when they're working with you. When you throw a sales training, there's probably very few people that could throw a sales training like you do.
Right.
And I've heard you over and over and over. Every time I hear you, I get excited. I'm like, where's the phone? Let me dial. Right. So if we could talk a little bit about sales, just for people to get a sense of what you have to offer. You've done a training not too long ago about your objection handling system.
Sure.
Right. So what are the common objections that you get when you're selling life insurance? Which, by the way, just before this podcast, you were on the phone helping a family.
Right.
What are the common objections that you get? And if you could give us your system or your way of overcoming that.
Sure. So there's plenty of rebuttals that you can go out and memorize. And you should, if you're setting appointments, you should have a couple of good rebuttals like, I don't have time, call me back. I'm not interested. I already got this taken care of. Those are some of the ones that you want to be able to have memorized to take care of right away to overcome those objections, the smoke screens of them just not knowing who you are. The fact is, you're calling somebody that doesn't know you. They want to get off the phone as fast as possible because it's uncomfortable to them. If you can break through a couple of those smokescreen objections, you can have a little bit of a conversation with them, set up an appointment. And if they show up to that appointment, then you can get into the, I would say, the presentation. And our presentation is designed not to deal with any objections. It handles the objections inside of it. It's a system. So for you people out there that are looking for a real system to get that persistency up above 80%, 85%. It's a system that you need. The mentorship from me as far as sales training, look, there's a couple of things that you have to do to get good on the phone. Number one is that script that you're going to use to set appointments. You got to read that thing 25 times before you even get on the phone. Read it through 25 times before you get on the phone. And for that first couple of weeks, read it 5 times before you even start the phone. This may take you an hour before you make that first phone call, but it'll help the phone feel less than 1,000 pounds, and it's just going to prepare you. The only reason people get scared to pick up the phone is because they're not prepared. Okay, so if you're prepared, it's not going to be a big deal for you to make those phone calls and set those appointments. Hand those top 3 objections, have them memorized, not difficult. There are 2 or 3 lines to have them memorized. And as far as your presentation, you don't have to have that memorized. Have it printed out. Read that a few times before you ever do a presentation. But you want to have it in front of you so you can read through it. If you're on the phone, you can have it printed out right in front of you. If you're doing Zoom, have it on your screen so that you look like you're looking at them while you're reading it, okay? As far as what I look for in people, just do what I tell you to do. Memorize 3 rebuttals, read that script 25 times, and let's do some role play. If you sound like garbage, I'm going to let you know you sound like garbage. Get back to doing what I told you to do. And the next day, let's see if your homework paid off. Until that homework pays off, then we'll get you on the phone. I think it's very important that everybody gets on the Zoom live dials with me so that I can hear you, you can hear me. At AIR, we have so many resources that can help you. We actually have a dedicated sales trainer that can help you become successful over the phone. Setting appointments. That's the grunt work of our business, is setting appointments. So if you can get good at setting 10 appointments and you do lousy on 9 of them, all you need to do is get that 1, right? 10 appointments a day, you're going to get a sale every day. If you get a sale every day in mortgage protection, that's $1,500 to $2,000 a day. Who wouldn't want to walk home with $10,000 a week? I mean, everybody does. When you're going to come online with me, if you show up, I'll be there. Okay, you can count on me. I'll always be there. But you got to show up. You want to complain? Don't complain to me. Go complain to someone else, because I'm going to give you all the resources to be successful. Go complain to somebody else. The only reason that you would complain is because you're not doing the work. Okay, at AIR, if you show up and you put your best foot forward, unmute that Zoom and let us listen to you pitching for appointments, we're going to award you with leads, free leads, $100, $200 a couple times a week. So there's no excuse. You can't say it's because you have no money, because if you can start this business with $500 or $1,000, you've got someone to call and make presentations to. And if we hear you doing that over and over on the phone, we're going to award you with leads. So if you're coming on, if you want to get mentored by me and you're coming on to AIR, the thing that I can tell you that's going to make you successful is training. Train yourself when you're not on the phone by reading that script, memorizing those rebuttals, and then when it's time to work, from 8 o'clock to 8 p.m., 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., unmute yourself when you're getting on an appointment, when you got a connection with a person, so that we can train you. Oh, you did this? Good, John. You need work on this. This is how I would say this. Take those notes and do it the way we tell you to do it, and you'll be successful. One of my most recent new guys that just came on sounds like me to the T. The guy is selling a deal a day off of $1 leads.
Is that Andrew?
That's Andrew.
Shout out to Andrew Hale.
Yeah, Andrew Hale, great job, man.
20 grand is what he did in the past couple of months. He's been with us since late
That's
June.
right. He's around the same age as me. I think he might be a little bit older. I think he might be 47. I'm 45, and he's got a couple of grandkids, and he stopped his other sales jobs doing this full time.
Guys, if you're around guys like David, by the way, I mean, if you're looking for somebody who's not just talking the talk, but actually walking the walk, you could log in 8 a.m. every single day, Eastern time, Monday to Friday, and you're going to see him do his thing. If you're looking for a mentor who is in the trenches with you, alongside of you, helping you, coaching you, mentoring you, has been there, done that, this man runs a 7-figure agency, and he is available for those people that seek, that are basically are thirsty for a mentor like that for free, because I know that people would pay him a lot of money just for his sales training. And so I don't take you for granted, Dave, and I hope that the audience got a lot of value. I know for a fact that they got a lot of value just by listening to this, not only from a sales perspective, but your story is so inspirational. And I think I know for a fact it's going to motivate a lot of people that have lost their motivation in this industry. People have gone through it and they thought, you know what, I'm just going to give up because I don't think this, I mean, I see you working for this person and that person. I don't think it's going to work for me. But when somebody listens to your story, they're going to be like, wait, hold on. It's not the industry. It's not the leads. It's not the system. It's not the company. It's probably me. I just never met a person like him. So, Dave, I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You got it.
All right.